How's it going? I wanted to get on and do a quick talk about alternate chord shapes. So I follow chord charts most of the time, pretty much all the time when I'm playing at church. So to avoid staying in the cowboy chord register, especially if I'm playing with, a medium level of gain, this is pretty much a standard level of gain that I'll be playing at, let's say in a loud chorus. So, with that amount of gain, if I'm down here all the time, I can tend to get lost in the mix because I'm all the way in the lower register. The bass is down there, the keys are in that same kind of register. So if I'm playing the chorus and I have this gain, slapped on like I do now, I like to play with alternate shapes. So the most typical ones you can use are the A shape. By the same token, you can just turn that into A minor just by, going down one fret on the B string. You can move D around. But it really helps if you know where these positions, if you know how to find these positions, but especially if you know how to find the root note on the fly. So it's pretty simple. If you're using the A shape, your root note is always going to be on the G string. So again, if we're down here in the standard A, the G string is ringing out A. If we're up here on the 12th fret, the G string is ringing out G. So that should be a G major. So if you're going to use that shape, wherever your G string is at, wherever you're fretted, on the G string, that's going to be your root note. So that's a handy one to remember. The power chord that power chords starting on the E and A string are built the same. But when you start on the D string, you're going to move up your pinky one fret. So you're going to have it span 3 frets across 3 fingers instead of 2. That'll sound like that. And in this case, that power chord, the root note, is always going to be on both your D and B strings. If I'm looking like this, I can usually always take a quick peek at the B string, so I'll know this is going to be A, this will be G, F, and this is E. That's a nice way to play E. In this, down here in these lower frets, but as opposed to doing this, where again, most of those notes are going to kind of get lost in the mix, depending on how the mix is going. But what I also realize about these chords is that if you're playing in, one position, let's take the key of E, a lot of the shapes in the same position correlate with the key. So you can almost get away, in some cases you can get away with playing an entire chord progression or maybe even an entire song in one position if you have to. So for example, E, if I wanted to do a standard 1-4-5-1 using cowboy chords, it would go like this. But up here you could play it like this. You can also play the 5th down here. So you can go like this. So here's your 1, here's your 4, here's your 5, and there's a 5 again, which is B. The 4th is going to be A. Now you can hit the minor 3rd and the minor 6th. All you got to do is shift down 1 fret, and for the that's the minor 3rd. That's going to be G sharp minor. And again, our B string is on G sharp. So if we go down here and play G sharp minor just in the bar position, it'd sound pretty much the same. And hitting the minor 3rd is you're going to be in the same position again, starting on the 6th fret. But here we're going to start with the G string on the 6th fret and the B string on the 9th fret. So this is just a dyad, a power chord dyad. That's going to be C sharp. So just those positions alone, I got through several songs just hanging out in one position. Because again, if you're playing with gain, this is, again, my standard level of gain if we're playing a loud chorus or anything like that. These chords, they sound a little bit better and they cut through the mix better. And most of them are, 1-5-1 shapes. There are some, full triads and things like that, like the 5th position here. That's B major. That chord isn't so bad with gain because your major third is down here in kind of a lower register, so it's not so dissonant. But if you're up here in this register, like let's say for example we're going to play a G on the 12th fret, the dissonance between the G and the B can get to be a little annoying. Eddie Van Halen famously slightly detuned his B string, and actually slightly detuned all the strings, but his B string a little bit more, so he could always hit that chord in tune. If you want to hit that chord on the fly and your guitar, is perfectly tuned and whatnot, you can kind of cheat by just pressing up slightly. If I'm going to fret it here, like in the E position, I'm trying to press up slightly on the G string to create a little bit more space between the G and the B. So that's just something to watch out for if you're playing with gain and you're using that particular shape. The higher up you are in the register, the minor third is going to be, the major third is going to be harder and harder to pull off in perfect tune because it's a dissonant interval when you slap on gain. But that's just something to remember about that particular chord. But again, those major shapes: 1, 4, 5, and again, it's 2 ways of playing. 5 is B major. And then 6th is the Diad, starting on the 6th fret, and then the minor third, and then back to 1. So if you memorize these positions, on the fly especially, I find it helps if I'm in the middle of a chord progression and I'm up here somewhere banging through chords. I can just always kind of natively and intuitively just jump to these different positions because I've memorized the positions of the root notes and I know how they intersect within a certain position. So again, everything would be the same if I'm playing in the key of D, 4, 5, that's the minor third, and this is the minor 6th. And then D, that would be B minor. So memorize that and you can get through an entire progression in one position if you have to on the fly. It's helpful maybe if you're not completely familiar with the song that you're playing through. It just helps be able to nail these chords in all these different positions on the fly. So it's helpful if you memorize the location of the root note and then you just take some time and build out how they connect to each other. It's pretty simple: 1, 4, 5, 1, and again 6 and 3 up here. Those are the common ones. So you can get through a lot of songs just like that, and it's really helpful if you memorize this stuff. You can apply it to your own playing. So I hope you got something out of this. Thanks a lot.